a video cut out, of course. Fucking things. So anyway, if it's a process and it's not perfect, that's the problem. It's a little bit of a program, it seems. Like, okay, someone built the ride, but they're not necessarily ready for you to change it while you're on it. Like, you make a decision, it'll compensate, but there might be a glitch. Like, you're seeing things from a different perspective, but you're being shown a story about people that is somehow helpful. People who've been on this ride know what I'm talking about. Even if they've seen the beginning of that ride and they never went, they got off before it really got started, and they said, fuck no, I got some mental help, or, I'm going to push that away. There's a ride, this wooden roller coaster. You get up to the top. When you get to the top, you see a lot. You look down over the city that you're in. This old city is breaking down, the world, metaphor, right? And you see the broken windows. And you're like, shit, and there's a mugging over there. I could do something about it, but I can't reach them right here. I'm too lofty right now. But you get up high and start seeing things. Music starts meaning stuff. TV starts meaning stuff. Messages from people talking over there seem to be about us. Because ultimately, everything is about everybody and everything all the time. But it's not only about you. You're not the center of the universe, but you're the center of your perspective. No one's a center. There is no center, as far as I can tell, except maybe the loftiest point of view. The player of the big game. It's not me, it's not you. So some people are riding this ride, and they're like, shit, I can fly right now. I'm at the top of this mountain. I'm just going to fly right the fuck down to ground, and I'm still going to keep that mentality. Then they become a guru, and they start talking about inner standing. My soul sister, star brother, I'm going to teach you about the Pleiadians and all the different nonsense parts of a story, narrative constructs that you're shown, depending on your perspective, whatever you bring in. I am the Lord Jesus Christ, and I'm going to save you, and you against your will. Fuck no. Everybody else knows what they're doing too, on some level. We all start where we start because we chose, I think. We chose to start at a certain position in life. Some people are playing hard mode because maybe they need that for the game. It doesn't mean they're a better player, but they just want to experience that. They want to say, okay, well, how would I get out of that? Maybe when we're writing our characters at the big D&D table in the sky, that's like not even the highest table, because maybe it's not a table at the top, but the part I can see, it seems like maybe there's a table, and we all write our characters, and we say, I need someone to do this for my character, so that I can become the bard or whatever. I want to be able to get this and get that. And by getting you to do this for me, I get to do that. So please do this for me. And maybe somehow I had an agreement with my mother. I didn't feel that way, but maybe that's just part of the game. But at the same time, maybe it isn't. Maybe some people are just broken and someone broke them. Change your perspective. Don't lock yourself into one metaphor for reality. Physics. Use science. Hell, I got a really cool quantum physics explanation, plausible explanation for what all this stuff is. You know what? I can't leave you hanging on that. So here we go. Okay, imagine different timelines. Okay, quantum entanglement. We think about it. What we understand about quantum entanglement is that any kind of observation just disentangles the entanglement. It breaks it. Cigarette time. I'm a smoker. Whatever. Everyone has a vice, even if it's the purity of not having a vice. I'm in Flavor Country. Actually, I'm kind of like in Funky Town. I'm waiting for the bus to Flavor Country. I should be here any minute. Anyway, let's go quantum. Okay, so imagine a game that I'm working on called A Perfect Life. So you sit there and you've lived all these different timelines because there's different forks of us. At the center of the universe, this universe, there was a singularity, a point. And therefore, everything was once entangled on some level. So maybe there are levels of entanglement. Maybe quantum entanglement is not just a simple binary thing of two photons exchanged between a particle that actually cause one to flip the other when you kind of examine it. Maybe everything's entangled, but different ways, different levels. So like the greenness of something is a connection, like let's go like those hermetics, right? They say the laws of this and laws of that. Greenness is the commonality between two things, and therefore if you flip the greenness here, you might affect the greenness there. whatever it is, whatever your fucking metaphor. But let's use a quantum entanglement one. So, imagine everything was once entangled at the beginning of this universe, and maybe the beginning of the multiverse, or maybe the beginning of the omniverse, the omelet, or whatever. Whatever. Just premise. Good story. Good game, hopefully. So the idea is that we all live these different lifetimes. What if you had one part of you that became like a Q or a 9 from the 9s, like an ascended being? And you got there and you're like, shit, I'm infinitely happy. I kind of hinted at this earlier in an early video. I didn't do it super on purpose, but it was a handy reference. Okay, so you get there, you say, I'm infinitely happy, but what if I was infinitely happy? And you look back at your old timelines, the other ones that you didn't fully directly live until you got to where you were going because you were actually planning the whole thing from the beginning or something. You're just there and you know everything about yourself. You haven't learned everything about everything yet, but you know everything about yourself. Okay. So you get to that point and you say, okay, well, how do I make my timelines better? Could I edit things? Maybe. For the premise of the game, why not? But there are these nodes. There's a hexagonal board up to 6 other players, and we have these different stories that we tell ourselves. Okay? A node here. I was born. My mother abused me. This happened, that happened, this other thing. You get to the end of your life, and you're trying to build a perfect life. Just one. We're going to work with like 3 timelines each from each perspective. So we're seeing across the board in different angles. And we see a little bit of other people's stuff, but not everything, especially if they're directly opposed to us. We don't know what's on the other side of their tile, because you got these Scrabble tile things in front of you with a story piece, with points associated with that story piece. So at one node, I might have, I fell in love. On the other side of that tile, someone else's life intersects with mine. And it says, I killed my father. At the same moment where we intersected, I fell in love and you killed your father. But I don't know you killed your father because you don't get to share information without the right to do so via the game. And the story may go like this. I was driving to meet a blind date, and I think I hit an animal, but I got there and she was so beautiful. And then next step, then we fell in love, we got married, we had a baby, and we lived out our lives, and happy. My game, I'm playing for love. You might be playing for money. People play for different things, and that's okay. We play for different things. We have different win conditions in life, I think. There's enough games out there for everybody, and that way everyone can win, as long as you choose the thing that makes sense for you. But back to the game. So in this moment, I fell in love and I went forward, blah, blah, blah. But in that same moment where I drove to meet my blind date, your side of the table, maybe I killed my father. And your part of the story might be, your dad said, hey, I love you. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to stop drinking because I love you and I'm going to be there for you. And you, being a little girl or whatever, or boy, said, Daddy, you'll never stop drinking. You like it too much. So Daddy went to the couch, his underwear, and he's depressed and shit. He's like, you're right. Fucking hey, my son knows that. My daughter knows that. I'm never going to get any better than this. So they kept drinking. At some point in the middle of the night, or the middle of the night for them because they've been up for 2 days. It's like a long road of depression and depravity and sadness and hatred and self-hatred. And they get out there in their underwear in the dark and they run out into the road and just ask God to help. Or they go out and say, fuck all this, I'm just going to go jump in the lake and purify myself. Or whatever the fuck it is. They do something. They run out and they get winged by that car and they die. Does this person who fell in love need to give up the fact that they fell in love because someone died as they intersect with someone else's path? I don't think they should have to give up that love they found. But if there was a way to be more aware of what you're doing as you're crossing other people's lives, we should do that, because knowledge is responsibility. And there are ways to get more knowledge about life and how we intersect with other people. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this blind date. I'm nervous, but I need to pay attention to the fucking road. And if I had done that, I wouldn't have hit somebody and not even known about it. And if this person had understood that their daughter just loved them and they didn't know better yet, they're a kid. It's not up to your daughter whether you quit drinking. They would have been okay too. So, That's why I'm writing that game called The Perfect Life, which is made from my game engine toolkit called Tribute. Now, always a last, right? I got a million lasts. I'm going to try to stop saying that. I'm working on it. So Tribute is a game design toolkit, and I'm going to give offered rules for these concepts, like a counter. These are words that are both verbs and nouns at the same time, and therefore they can be used as either force or form, or position or wavelength. I'm thinking on that level. It may seem douchey. If it does, great. If it doesn't, it may be useful. So anyway, I've been working on that for many years based on Lurianic Kabbalah, or Kabbalah. You know, you say taco, you say burrito, you say, whatever, or you say gyro instead of gyro, whatever is most convenient and helpful to get a point across. So I worked on Lurianic Kabbalah as a system, not my system, but a system of modeling this stuff. And I had to dig in and try to get the perspectives of what's the Jewish thought on this and why. And I learned a lot, and I went and I made game rules or game pieces or positional metaphors for different situations we face in life on various levels of life. And now I'm going to make some games out of those perspectives, each one based on, they're both simultaneously a verb and a noun, so words like focus, channel, forge, attribute, or attribute, words like that. Okay, and that wasn't like some weird meta spell thing. I don't believe in spelly spells. I don't. I mean, I think that that's a good tool for some people, and it helps them get their shit together confidence-wise. But I don't believe in like casting a ritual or doing a hypersigil or any of that shit per se. Because honestly, all perspectives are valid, and you talk to the part of the universe that you're looking for. Regardless, my game will be a set of tools where I have specific mechanical rules that I will use to make games. However, they're going to be boxes in a sense, not boxes to box in, but to contain and just kind of like keep things in a pile. You make your own rules. So if I have a counter rule, which mine is a meter, and it's an ablative, so it represents this idea of resistance and reaction, right? What would you do with that? You can make a game where you have a stress track or hit point. Well, hit points are kind of best modeled via my system somewhere else, but you could have like 10 health bars or health meter things. You could have something called a stress track or a condition monitor, where you actually get specific conditions in your life. Like, well, I'm now, I don't know, I have a maximum amount of something that I can do, or because of that I'm now limited in a certain way, or you model that whatever way you want, but my pieces will work together to make cool shit that I want to be able to make. And that's part of it is to show you guys changing perspective, not just mine, because you can do this with Eastern philosophy. You could do it with any good way of looking at the world. You could have made a game like Tribute, and I'm hoping people will. A tribute to whatever, or that'd be like an ego. No, not an ego. It'd be kind of an honor, I should say, an honor, if somehow people started making a tribute to different philosophies. They're not all the same. They're not. They give you different perspectives. One thing that I like about the Jewish and Lurianic Kabbalah stuff is that it tries to be objective, but it does paint with its own metaphors. It paints with its own pieces of story. These great stories, if you look at them in different ways, biblical stories can be amazing. And in fact, we mirror them in a lot of our media. But the whole point is, where are you? Kind of, what territory are you in? Funky Town? Or are you in Flavor Country? And where can you go from there? What are the routes out? And what would you have to do to take that bus or the plane? I have a shitty map, like I said, and I'm going to share it. And then you guys can figure out how the map's wrong and right. And a lot of people have that map. The problem is, a lot of people don't talk about it. Because once you have a map like that, it can be dangerous. That's why it took me 14 fucking years. I'm like, I'm not going to... I did a lot of like blogging about my process. A lot. And I told people what I was doing as I was doing it, but I kept changing it. I lost a lot of people's confidence, and that's probably a good thing. Don't have confidence in any of the shit I'm showing you. But where it might ring true and helpful, use it. Just don't ride it. It's not a ride. It should never be a ride for you. It's just like, here's some starting points. What do you see from there? That's the goal. Thank you. And keep your stick on the ice.